Okay, I want to watch.
Oh no, we hear what you
So right now she's not okay, I want
I think we're getting
Kickity do. Do we have a new sitting chart?
why do you have so much?
I don't know, did I give you guys a new city chart yet?
Hey, Ryder.
I don't think no, you did that.
I haven't
Ryder.
yet.
Yeah, our grade was fine. Hit the flick.
When you're working by yourself, you're
She's about to go over, she's about to teach you. Is Colton not here today?
Thank you.
You didn't show up.
Make sure that you put your phones away and your headphones.
Does anybody have an extra pen? Your house? Perhaps tomorrow night. Perhaps.
You gotta do this.
Perhaps not.
Hello.
Hello. That's not a pen, that's a pen. Are your pens like your pen?
Hello. I was at home.
Alright, so we're gonna be doing a lot of stuff up on the board that is visual. So you wanna make sure that you're looking up here. But who here likes art? You like art?
Like drawings?
Perfect. So, because what we're doing today is we're learning how to better analyze art and understand it. So, for instance, is anyone familiar with the artist that's up on the board?
Aristotle.
It's not Aristotle.
Picasso.
It's not.
Michelangelo.
Norman
Rockwell.
Rockwell, yeah.
Whoa.
Smart.
So Norman Rockwell was a painter in the 40s, 50s, during World War II era. And make sure you're looking up at the board. You can turn your seat to see the images better. So what do you notice about these images just right off the bat?
They're blurry.
They are blurry. But if they weren't blurry, what else did you notice?
Propaganda.
Yeah, so like war propaganda. Were you gonna say something else?
I mean, you could slightly read the words.
Yeah, so you can see the words. Says, say freedom of speech. Say freedom of worship. Says buy war bonds.
What are war bonds?
It's money for war. It says ours to fight for freedom from want. Ours to fight for freedom from fear. Let's focus on this if I'm speaking, please.
Yes, of course.
So what else do you guys notice? Like, for instance, let's look at this.
They're praying.
There is one where they're praying. That's important to note. And then what about the other image on the left? Or the
He's
right?
standing.
He's standing.
He's probably speaking.
He's probably speaking.
It's all dudes.
It's all dudes. Yeah, these are all important things to take note of because as you see with the words, say freedom of speech, so maybe this man is speaking freely. These people are praying, notice that. freedom from want mean? Have you heard that phrase before? Or
No, I've
the
never.
want for nothing, have you heard that phrase before?
Never heard. I don't know what it means.
Yes.
Why is that?
Oh, do you have your
funny?
hand up?
I
I did the thinking, I wasn't sure.
So freedom from want just means that you have all the things that you need, and that you don't want anything because of that. So everything, all your needs are met. So what does this image portray related to that thought? Yes.
That you have like a family and you have food and you have like a house, and you don't really need anything else.
Yeah, so you have a family, you have food, you have a home, and what do you even notice about the feast itself?
The turkey.
It's a big feast, yeah, there's a big
Thanksgiving.
turkey, it could be Thanksgiving, it's not clear that it's Thanksgiving except for the turkey, but it could just also be a really big feast because
Sunday dinner.
could be a Sunday dinner, all of their needs are met, so they're not starving, clearly.
From something.
And then what do you notice about this other image right here?
Oh, the little kid is sick.
There's little kids in bed. You said they're sick?
Looks, my guess.
Yeah. It's hard to see because it is blurry. But yeah, they could be sick. They might just be sleeping. What else do you notice about anyone in the image?
There's a dude.
Looks like
There's a
a
guy with a
doctor.
thing. What thing?
A paper.
A painter? Yeah. You said he was a doctor? Could be a doctor. Why do you think he's a doctor?
He's all fancy.
Yeah, he has a white lab coat and a clipboard. So that's freedom from fear. So what would that mean in relation to, there's freedom from want and then freedom from fear. So what does freedom from fear mean?
You don't fear,
Yeah, so you don't have any fear. Now, we were talking about how these could be related to like war, and so these four freedoms, the freedom from speech, freedom of religion, freedom from want, freedom from fear, those are the four freedoms that were outlined in FDR's The Four Freedoms speech. So Norman Rockwell, he painted this to, why do you think he painted it? These four freedoms.
Because they look cool.
They look cool, but what would they be trying to convince people?
Pay for war.
To support the war, to give them hope, maybe during the war, because these are the reasons we're fighting. Yeah, so if you'll see on the paper that you have in front of you, it says analyzing visual text using optic. Now I want you to go ahead and draw a line down the middle.
Your mom is better than mine.
Alright. Now, optic is a method that we're going to use and that you can use now as a tool to better analyze visual media. Can I see your hand up? You don't need a speaker. So, you'll use this tool as an acronym to help you analyze visual media. Can someone read the directions under analyzing visual text? Have a volunteer? Brendan?
Paying attention to the details as a habit that is necessary. Part of effective analysis as you analyze a visual text. Paintings, photographs, advertisements, maps, charts, or graphs. The optic strategy can help you construct meaning.
Perfect. Brendan, pick someone to read O at the top.
Okay.
Write a brief overview of the image in one sentence. What is the image about?
Alright, so write a brief overview of the image. Alright, Angel, pick someone to read
Sure.
Pete.
List all the parts that seem important. Color, figures, textures, groupings, shadings, patterns, numbers, repetitions, etc.
Alright, perfect. So P is about listing all the parts that seem important, kind of what we just did, focusing on the turkey and the kids and the parents and the home. Kieran, pick someone to read T.
Addie. How does the title or text contribute to the meaning?
Perfect, so how does the title or text? So that is helpful because if you knew already that these paintings were called the Four Freedoms, then you already have context about what they're conveying. So pick someone to read I, please.
Well,
Explain the interrelationship in the image. Consider how the parts come together to create a mood or convey an idea or an argument.
Perfect. So explaining the interrelationships in the image. So for example, we talked about how the turkey is related to the table setting. We talked about how the parents are related to the children. How the table setting is related to the parents. So how the interrelationships are outlined in the image. And go ahead and pick someone to read
Karen?
C.
write a conclusion paragraph that interprets the meaning of the image as a whole.
Alright, perfect. And then you would take all of these things that you just focused on, and then you would write a brief conclusion paragraph to interpret the meaning of the image as a whole, focusing on everything that we just analyzed. So what we're gonna do with the first side of our paper, go ahead and write the shiner above that side. The shiner. Does everyone know what a shiner is?
Isn't that like when you like,
Yeah.
get like punched or something?
Yeah, you get punched, you get a black eye. And when you're doing it, we're gonna do an optic for the shiner. But what I want you to focus on first, write the number 1 next to T, because that should be the first one that you start with, just because you already have the title available to you. So for T, we're gonna write the shiner, and we're gonna make note that it's by Norman Rockwell. And then for O, write a brief overview of the image. So take a glance at the image and write down a brief sentence of what you think the image is about, just upon your first viewing. Yes, for O. You're gonna write an overview. Just has to be one
Probably
sentence.
trying to get some girl got in the fight at
Yeah,
school.
I can't
Okay,
see.
here, I'll send it. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out what the best combination is. Okay, so write a brief sentence for O. What do you think the image is conveying?
Kids on drugs. They caught her with the pen.
And then, does anyone want to share their O?
Yeah.
Yes.
A girl with a black eye smiles outside an office setting.
Okay, a girl with a black eye smiles outside an office setting. You wanted to say yours.
I was gonna say she was traumatized.
A girl
Yeah.
could be traumatized outside of the principal's office.
She looks pretty happy.
Does anyone have anything else they noticed?
I do.
She's probably in trouble. She got in a fight.
I think she took too much Galaxy gas.
Oh, bingo.
I feel as if
Jason,
the adults do not
no more commentary, thank you. Twice.
look at them. Look at the adults.
You don't think they care?
They do not look like they care.
They look like they're talking to each other.
What did you write as
But
well?
it looks like she got in trouble.
Yeah.
She's in the principal's office.
Alright, so this is great commentary that brings us to P, because, oh, thank God, okay. So for P, you're listing all of the parts of the image that you see. So when you're doing this, it's important to look at the image as a whole, but also to break it down into quadrants, because this is gonna help you quadrant?
It's got like a bunch
board.
of notes. Looks like something you'd find in a principal's hallway.
Yeah, so there's a bulletin board. There's not a lot in this image. She's kind of in the center of all of the images. But in this image specifically, you see that there's a bulletin board. So that kind of gives you the idea that maybe she's in a principal's office, in a school setting. So then if we go over to this quadrant, what do we notice? Yeah, so
Principals look concerned.
yeah, so there's the it says principal on the door, the adults look concerned. What do you notice about her face too, specifically?
Like,
She's
smiling.
smiling. Hard to get it all in one image. Alright. Adults concerned. She's smiling. She has red hair.
Like,
She must be a great.
What does red hair symbolize sometimes?
Brendan.
There's this remedy where it's symbolized or something?
It could.
In Brendan.
Because every single Brendan I know is.
No soul.
I don't think
It
it's
symbolizes her soul being gone.
maybe fiery is the word that we came up with next.
Maybe.
What do you notice about her? What do you notice about her face?
Happy.
roughed up eye.
Yeah, she has a black eye. What about her hair besides the color?
Messy.
It's messy. What about the people in the doorway?
Look concerned.
Yeah,
They
but
look
how many, like there are two
straight face.
people.
Straight face.
I say
Yeah,
guy.
I don't care, that
There are two people, there's a woman,
Oh, I thought that was a dude.
there's a man and a woman.
said like about how he's looking at that book.
Thank you, Ryder. You're welcome.
And then in this quadrant,
I noticed a shoe.
you guys didn't notice that. Yeah, so what do you notice about this quadrant?
Her legs look
Yes.
very
Yo.
She has large, long socks,
No, large.
large socks.
They're like
Her knees are scratched.
She's got a black car.
Oh, shoes are untied.
Shoes untied. What about the filing cabinet?
It's open, slightly.
It's full.
Full. And you have to think about what all of these parts are doing to combine to tell a story. And what about like the color of the floor? The color of the filing cabinet? Maybe that could symbolize something. What do you notice about her clothes, specifically?
She's a school.
uniform.
She's a schoolgirl. Yeah, maybe she goes to a private school
You didn't hear that.
or a girls' school. What else does anyone notice? What's on her knee? Is it a Band-Aid?
The Band-Aid.
And then
She's got bruises on her shins.
she's got bruises on her shins. And then what do you notice about this quadrant?
Chair.
The chair, the bench? And is there anyone else on the bench with her?
No.
Maybe she's schizophrenic.
Bingo.
So she's alone on the bench. Maybe she was in a fight, and where do you think the other person is?
Dead.
Maybe in the office or in like the nurse's office, maybe.
Dead.
I feel like she should be there.
Maybe she already has
blood?
Band-Aid.
Is that blood on her shirt or is that like something like?
That's okay. So if we zoom back out, I'll zoom back out one more time before we finish this part.
It's a ribbon on her hair.
It's a ribbon.
Maybe this finishes her grade
It
or
looks like
something.
blood for a second.
You can talk about how her shirt's like.
Maybe the ribbon could symbolize.
No.
Her grade. Okay.
Oh.
All right. So these good examples of what we see in the image. So next we're gonna move, we already did T, which is the shiner. And now we're gonna move on to I. What does everyone notice about like the interrelationships of everyone in the image? So how are all of the pieces that you just listed related to each other? So for instance, you notice that the girl has red hair. What about the woman in the office? She has red hair.
I think
Oh, it might be her
It
mom.
might be her mom.
Colorblind.
It's,
Oh,
I mean,
maybe-
it's hard because it's also just on the board, it might be different, you know, if you saw it in person. But you could conclude that that's her mom because they both have red hair.
Maybe her
I
mom
colored
did
some
it
wrong
to her.
eyes
Yo, I'm on to something.
What?
Her mom did that to her.
Or you could talk about the relationship between the principal and her facial expressions. How are they related? The principal's concerned, but she's not, she's smiling.
Maybe that's why she's concerned.
What about like the filing cabinet? What do you think that the filing cabinet portrays? How is it related to her? How is it related to the principal? We
It's
talked
not
about
as
it before.
messy. He's like unorganized. And his school stinks. And there's fights.
Well, yeah, so
No, I'm
I mean,
actually
there's
trying.
fights,
I'm
but
actually
what could the filing cabinet be full of?
Maybe, other like referrals and stuff.
Yeah,
that
like
students-
her record. So maybe the filing cabinet,
How do you get all this off a picture?
because we're looking at all the evidence.
Inferences.
Like we're looking at this to analyze it to understand what the image is about. So we're gonna use the evidence and we're gonna decide what it tells us about the image. Because why else would the filing cabinet be full if it wasn't open? They were immediately rifling through it. They went in the office.
Not the first time she
And they
did
put it in the picture for a reason.
Yeah, he put it in the picture for a reason. And yeah, so you could say that even the relationship between her and whoever she got in a fight with, that person's not there.
So is this like painter?
This is a painting, but it is very realistic, right? Maybe in the realism style. They look like photographs.
That's why I don't like it. It looks just like a photo.
Alright.
I don't like it.
So now that you have all of this evidence, go ahead and write a brief conclusion about what you think this image is and how it relates to everything that we just discussed. So, and start it with In the Shiner by Norman Rockwell.
How many paragraphs?
Just 2 or 3, just very short.
I need a pen. My pen completely fell apart.
Do you guys have the light back on? Maybe just a couple minutes. And this is your own interpretation. There's a lot of different answers. Does anyone want to share theirs? Brendan, yes.
I said, In the Shiner by Norman Rockwell, a girl is seen sitting alone on a bench, all banged up. The mom is in the office talking with the principal about the situation.
Okay, yeah, perfect. wanted to even write more, you could include why you think that, you know, she's in the office because she got in a fight because of, you know, instead of saying banged up, you could say the black eye, the red messy hair, the disheveled shoes. Yeah, you're fine. What did you write?
I put it about it, man, because I know that's what's good.
Yeah, so you're writing a conclusion paragraph that interprets the meaning of the image. So what did you write?
No, I'm very confused. But anyway, I just put, I think it's about how kids still get beat up by the world.
Okay, yeah, so like that's a good interpretation. So that the students are getting beat up by the world. Okay, does anyone else want to share anything before we move on? We have a second one that we're gonna do, and I'm gonna let you do most of it. And on this next image that I'm about to show you, the next image that I'm about to show you, I want you to keep in mind that you guys are 11th graders and you are mature, and that we can be mature about the content in the image.
What is this?
This is an image. It's called The Problem We All Live With. So, now this is a very important image. This little girl is a hero to me, to Miss Mason, to a lot of people. The problem we all live with is what it's called. So I want you to go ahead and we're gonna do the optic for this, but I want you to work with your partners. So go ahead and write your O. So write your overview, the one sentence overview.
The problem we all live. U.S.
The problem we all live with.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh God. The problem we all
What
live
does that
with.
say in the yellow
Maybe
department? U.S. Marshal?
U.S. Marshal.
What's a U.S. Marshal? What do they do?
It's like a military. So you can see it. So write your one sentence overview. You might, some of you might be familiar with this story. Just write a brief sentence about what you see initially.
U.S. Marshal.
So, but work with your partners, work with your shoulder partners. Discuss with each other.
Yeah, but they say U.S. Marshal is both men.
You never know.
Okay, so you guys are already discussing the parts. Can anyone tell me what you wrote for your O? Anyone tell me what you wrote for your overview?
I wrote.
Well, you don't have to say it. It's not. That's not part of your overview. What did you write for your sentence?
Are you ready for mine?
What did you write for your overview?
I wrote a black girl walks with school supplies surrounded by white men with a discriminatory background.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right. So now work with your groups, like you guys are already kind of doing, and write down the key. So all of the parts that you see. You guys notice a lot of different things. So you want to notice the colors, the words, the backgrounds. You want to notice the tomato. And yeah, so we're doing P. We're writing down all the different parts of the painting. I'm gonna do the quadrants in just a second. So if you look, this is the first quadrant.
Oh,
Oh, they're both.
write what you see. It doesn't have to be exactly what you think it means, but write what you see.
They're white in comparison. They're white in comparison. But I think there's a painting Welsh.
So whatever you notice about this quadrant. And then we're gonna go to the next one.
And they're both, no, they're all supposed to be white.
I wrote out the whole thing.
The tomato's black.
And you wanna write down, work with your partners, discuss amongst you, because you guys all have different eyes. So what you're seeing, the person next to you might not be seeing. And if you combine everything that you take note of, you might have a better understanding.
Yeah.
Dirty wall. Dirty wall?
Yeah, the wall is dirty.
Wall.
It's covered in yellow. It's got a paint.
And it's important, yeah, so take note of the colors of the wall, the colors of the suits, the colors of the dress. What they're wearing, how they're standing, how they're walking. We'll move to the next quadrant. And what do you notice in this quadrant?
There's a tomato. In a roller.
Oh, tomato.
Who's ready to learn? Really?
Make sure you guys are sharing with
Wasn't it four? And they got to go to school. And they went there for like one day. That's
Well, that's like she went to Ruby Bridges specifically, and I'll talk about her after we do the object, but she went to Alright. And we're gonna look at the last quadrant. What do you notice in this quadrant? Do you notice about their clothes, their shoes, what's in their hands,
I didn't take history.
how they're standing?
She looks pretty calm.
Yeah, so that's a good thing to take note of, her facial expression. We looked at it in one of the other quadrants, I'll zoom out before we move on.
But she just looks calm.
Should we be nervous? Should I be trying to put on a brave face? People are throwing tomatoes, so that's not a very comfortable situation to be in. You could. So, I think I heard a lot of what you guys were writing for the parts. You noticed the tomato, you noticed the words on the wall, you noticed the people with their armbands that say U.S. Marshal, you noticed that he has something in his pocket. What do you think is in his pocket? To be like official documents. Yeah, her school documents, official documents. Could be her record. She's wearing a white dress. The white can symbolize something. The red of the tomato can symbolize something. Well, what does red symbolize to you? Like violence, blood, anger. Alright, so now that we've discussed all of our parts, alright. I'm talking now. Alright, now that we've moved from the P, we've done the T already, and we're gonna move on to the interrelationships for I. So, talk amongst yourselves, amongst your group, think about how some of these things are related. So how is the tomato related to her? How are these men related to her? How how are these men related to each other? What do the words relate to her or the people that are walking with her? So discuss that and write down some answers about the interrelationships. Will it help if I turn the lights back on, or do you want them off right now because you still need to see the painting?
Which connects to our authority.
Like, what is the why is there a tomato? What is the relationship between her and the tomato? Yeah, hate. Someone threw the tomato at her. What's the relationship between the men and the girl? What do you think they're doing? And there's 4 of them. There's 1 of her.
What?
Damn.
Oh, on the
I didn't even
left.
see it.
I don't see it. Oh, he was, I just saw that.
So that's why it's important to talk with your partner, because you
Oh,
have
I didn't
eyes
see
that
that.
they don't.
Good job, little dude.
You might see something that
saw
they
it.
can't
Saw
see.
On the top
I was
left.
the one who literally
And then think about how that relates to her. How does it relate to the people? How would it relate to,
Racial profile.
yeah.
Yeah.
I am a racist person.
Like the other day.
All right, and then, does anyone want to share what they've written? Any interrelationships they've written?
Hate to tomato.
Yeah, so the tomato relates to her, it's a form of hatred. Does anyone else have any other relationships? What are the men doing? Why are they there? How are they related to her? Yeah, so they're an escort.
Oh, and they all got,
Protect her.
I wrote a good one. It's badges to marching. Or, I mean, marching to badges.
Yeah.
They're like official.
They are. They have the U.S. Marshal armband.
They're all
Yeah,
marching.
they're all marching, and that can show that they're being official. They're helping her. They're protecting her. And not only are they protecting her because they want to protect her, but they're also protecting her because that's an order. Because they're wearing their military.
It's pretty bad when you have to escort a little girl to school by U.S. military.
Yeah. All right. So now that I'm gonna turn the lights back on because we've gathered a lot of evidence, and I want you guys now to take a couple minutes and write a brief conclusion about what you think the meaning of this painting is.
Racism still.
And again, try to start it with the problem we all live with by Norman Rockwell portrays, or means.
Wait, it says we all, so.
Problem we all live with.
Oh, wait,
Yeah, I wrote it wrong the first time, but I wrote it right the second time. Does anyone want to share what they wrote?
I feel like this resembles our games of segregation was a lot worse. They got a lot worse than before that.
Yeah, so the end of segregation was
did it?
really bad. This image is portraying an event that happened in 1960. It's not necessarily.
I said 42.
I would say 1970s.
I'm pretty sure mine's like at.
When did Martin Luther King was?
So this takes place in 1960. This image specifically.
I like
Does anyone want to share what else they wrote for their conclusion?
about how African American was strong by the Marshall School?
It's
Because
the same.
they're like joining
BCE is
the
before
white
there.
people together in school and it was
Before Christ.
segregation.
It's
That's
there.
the integration.
If people disapprove, it's because of the writing on the wall.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, so Angel had a great conclusion paragraph. He said that Angel had a good conclusion paragraph. She said that this is about an African American girl who is on her way to school during for integration when segregation was illegal, and people they're protesting, and you can tell that people are protesting because the tomatoes and the words written on the wall. So that's a good conclusion paragraph. Does anyone else have anything different? Or any other interpretation you have?
Mine was about the same.
Yeah, it's a pretty powerful image. And so what I wanted to make sure you guys knew is that, like I said, this was a specific moment in 1960. Does anyone know the name of the girl? I know some of you guys are already familiar with this situation.
I don't know her name. You said it.
Her name is Ruby Bridges. So she was the first African American girl to go to an all-white school in New Orleans. So there were 4 girls. And this happened in 1960, so we just passed the 64th anniversary of it on November 14th, actually, so 4 days ago. It was the 64th anniversary. And it was pretty intense because every single day she went to school and she was escorted by guards, and people would protest, yeah, they would throw things at her, they would spit on her, they would call her slurs, and she's 5 years old. And think about how that feels. And it's also important to think about just how, like, when this was. So for instance, this was 1960, she was 5 years old, she's still alive, she has an Instagram. It's Ruby Bridges Official because she's still an activist. Yeah, it's pretty crazy to think about. But she's a hero to a lot of people, clearly.
I remember that.
Yeah, she's almost, my dad's just a little bit younger than her. So it's crazy to think about that was still that recent.
How old is she now?
She's 70.
70? Easy, man.
All right. So now that we've done that, and you have a better tool to help you analyze art, you'll see on the back of your paper, there are some questions. And what we're gonna do now is watch a video. And in the video, we're gonna take some pauses and we're gonna answer the questions as we go.
Okay, I'm ready.
You guys know who Bill Nye is?
Yeah,
Of course, we grew up.
He was on
I grew up myself.
And the freaking
I saw it on
robot.
one.
Yeah.
Alright, so it's important because you need to get the answers to this question, so it's important to pay attention and read along as we go.
At first glance, the style of Norman Rockwell's paintings are easy to identify. We tend to associate these images with the 1940s during World War II and the 50s with the poodle skirts, romance, and roller skates. Sometimes you just love the stuff he makes so much.
Alright, so you gotta fill in the gaps. We tend to associate these images with the blank.
What was the second one?
1940s.
1940s.
1940s from and the
Like
50s.
50s.
So we're gonna check our answers. 1940s and 50s.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Oops.
You make so much that you save all your money to buy a honking ginormous book just like I did. So here's a lot of facts that make Norman Rockwell such an interesting guy. Here's a short biology of Rockwell's life before we get to the juicy stuff. Norman Rockwell was born on February 3rd, 1894, New York City. By the age of 6.
Alright, how old was he when he stopped going to school?
16.
Alright, write it down. wrote 16, you got it
At the
right.
age of 16, he dropped out of high school to pursue his passion for drawing and painting in the National Academy.
Why did he quit
Number
high
two.
school?
Pursue his passion for drawing and painting.
To pursue his passion for drawing and painting. Bingo.
That's what it's based on.
National Academy of Design in New York. When he graduated, he worked.
It doesn't even.
When he graduated, he worked by making what for Boys Life magazine?
Front covers. Boom.
Covers.
Boom. Oh, yeah.
Right, covers. That's why it's important to pay attention because it goes fast.
It doesn't
It doesn't
even
even
say
say
it.
it. It doesn't say
It does it after you. It hits you with the he worked. Stops.
He worked on making covers for the Boys Life magazine. His first piece for Boys Life was Scout at Ship's Wheel in 1913. By the time he was 22, he was hired by the Saturday Evening Post, and this is where things get really interesting. Throughout his career, he's created 321 masterpieces.
321.
321 masterpieces.
Oh, it's the girl.
Girl, it's one of his masterpieces.
That's a lot of masterpieces.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of time commitment.
321 masterpiece for the Saturday Evening Post for over 50 whole years. For the Post, his paintings are often of children, family life.
Alright, so now you're gonna put these words in order.
Oh.
So,
Paintings are often of children and family life.
so his
Whoa.
paintings are often of
Children.
children, family life.
Yeah. No romance. Keep that
Romance is on there.
on there.
Paintings are often.
His paintings are often of children, family life, romance.
Life, romance, and sometimes sequential stories, like a day in the life of a boy, a day in the life of a girl, and the gossips. In his style, there are qualities that are consistent throughout most of his paintings. For example, women are usually portrayed as dainty and elegant, while men are animated with cartoonish gestures and action, such as window washer, after the prom, the letterman, the milkmaid, and croquet. Though much of what he made is primarily cartoony for the purpose of standing out, Rothko retains so much realism and attention to detail that the viewer cannot absorb the entire image at first glance. Some examples are the new television set, Shuffleton's Barbershop, Solitaire, Saying Grace, and the University Club. There is also an incredible attention to detail to the human features that are most especially found in his portraits of the elderly. For example, the hobo, Family Saying Grace, Two Old.
Alright,
Detail.
features. Detail. And
Features.
features. There's also an incredible attention to detail to the human features that are most especially found in his portraits of the elderly. Bingo.
Two Old Friends collection. And my personal favorite, there's one portrait of Two Old Friends, Summer, which is a reference to his old work, No Swimming. Rockwell is especially talented with ink and pencil sketches and depicted daily life.
Daily life.
Daily life.
Daily life for the Mutual Life Insurance Company, Crest toothpaste, and full painted posters for the Coca-Cola Company. He's also very elusive in sneaking his own self-portraits in the covers he made. To start, here's the triple self-portrait. Now you know what he looks like. See if you could find him hiding in his other works, like The Holdout. And The Right to Know. Give up? He's on the far right. He's got a pipe in his mouth. Oh my gosh, he's everywhere. It's like playing.
What is funny in Rockwell's painting?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Bro, They're all black and white.
Where's Waldo with this guy? He then created paintings with historical significance, such as Yankee Doodle. Matthew Brady photographed.
Who is the president represented in this painting?
Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln.
Why does it look so?
They say Matthew Brady.
He's probably doing that on purpose, right? Everything that he's doing is
Who is that?
intentional.
They played him in a play one time.
Brady photographing Lincoln. And illustrated books like The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, and the autobiography of Louisa May Alcott called Most Beloved American Writer. He also painted social issues.
Alright, put the words in order.
He also painted social issues.
He also painted social issues, kind of like what we just saw. He was painting a social issue. Bingo.
Especially those regarding the civil rights movement, like New Kids in the Neighborhood and A Problem We All Live With. He also created pieces that reflected the flavor of the world at the time of World War II, such as The Story of the Lost Battalion, Homecoming, The War Hero, Package from Home, and the famous Rosie the Riveter. Norman Rockwell also received an award by President Gerald Ford for painting a significant aspect of the World War II.
Alright, put the words in order.
Freedom of speech and expression.
Freedom of speech and expression. Bingo.
War II speech. The freedom of speech and expression.
Put these in order.
Of freedom religion.
Freedom of religion. You can see that image is a little bit clearer than what we just saw. Because that's the freedom of religion from the Four Freedoms painting.
Excuse me.
Freedom of religion. Freedom from want. And freedom from fear. After an entire 50 years of his life making
50 years.
How long did he spend making covers?
50 years.
50 years. That's a really long career.
Who is this man?
covers for the Saturday Evening Post, his final creation was of John F. Kennedy.
Alright. Who is this man?
John F. Kennedy, JFK. Cigar from Florida.
What do you want me to study today?
On December 14, 1963. And that concludes my short and sweet presentation of Norman Rockwell. But it doesn't actually end there. Did you know that you can find some actual photograph references he used for his paintings?
Everyone, make sure that you put your name on this and turn it in, please.
His accuracy in life is uncanny. Not only that, you can also visit the museum dedicated to him in Stockbridge, Massachusetts. I hope you enjoyed my fanboying about one of my most favorite artists, and I would like to hear about your favorites. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
And then one more thing to know. You have homework. That if you go on My Learning and look at the John James Audubon comic in My Learning, and you write down 22 facts, or 2 for each page, and then you also follow directions and write or draw a picture of a pelican and color it, you get extra credit points.
Oh, okay.
I read that.
Wait, what is that?
I'm not ready.
Yeah.
Are all those instructions on My Learning?
They are. It's on My Learning, but you just want to make sure that you check it out.
No, this that's
I gotta be back. I gotta be back at school.
Look up, like hands. Look up.
You guys turn around.
No. Dude, imagine she's closing every time.
And then your parents see it.
Well, mama would find me.